Is that you, Tony? I asked the girl standing behind me in the queue to pay for the dress draped over her arm. Don't worry, I have a soft spot for boys who dress as girls, and your secret is safe with me. That is how my friendship with Tony started. We knew each other from school and I did rather fancy him, but the word was that he was gay and he had never shown any interest in me. Tony looked panicky but then relaxed as I gave him a reassuring look. I decided there and then that I was going to look after him. You're a girl of 15, not 50. Let's go and find you a more suitable dress than that one. We spent the whole afternoon shopping. We only bought the one dress, after all we were at school. We went out that evening with Tony wearing her new dress. Tony became my best friend, Tony too. We spent most of our free time together, but our relationship remained just friends. We both dated others, but neither of us developed any serious relationships. For me it was because I wanted to have a romantic, and yes sexual, relationship with some who cross-dressed and I knew it was going to take time. I wanted an otherwise normal relationship, no funny business, and I wanted a boyfriend who could also be my girlfriend. Tony went out with boys, dressed either as a boy or as a girl, but he could never get beyond the first few dates. Perhaps at our age we don't want to be too different from our peers. After school we went to university in different parts of the country, but we remained best friends so we kept in touch. When we graduated we both returned home to find work and it seemed only natural that we would share a flat. We had separate rooms, it was only a platonic relationship after all, which allowed us both to continue seeing boys. After about a year, we had both landed well-paid jobs in our chosen careers. Tony started seeing another crossdresser, Tom, who he had met at a trans-friendly pub. They spent time together in all four combinations, boy/boy, girl/girl, boy/girl and girl/boy. I thought, what fun! And sometimes I would join them, usually as 3 girls. Over time I grew fond of Tom and occasionally we would do girly things, but never behind Tony's back. One evening, Tony got back from clubbing with Tom. He curled up next to me on the sofa and started sobbing. What's the matter, my princess? Princess was my affectionate name for Tony when we were alone. When we were still at school he kept threatening to wear a Disney princess dress, though I knew he never would. I've broken up with Tom, replied Tony. I was actually quite shocked. I thought they were made for each other and Tony had found his dream partner at long last. Oh, Tony, I called him Tony when it was time to be serious. I'm so sorry, what happened? I have been thinking about it for a long time. It was the freedom to dress and have a relationship is what kept me going. But I was not finding our sexual life satisfying and Tom was pressuring me to spend all our time together as Marie-Louise and Tony. It was as if deep inside he was jealous of me as Tony. I wanted to go to next Saturday's football match as Tony but he was insisting I dress as a man. Actually I don't mind going as a man, but it should be my choice. We were going on afterwards to that new club, the Frock and Heels, but it attracts a lot of queens and I feel more comfortable looking like the girl next door. And if I go as a man, I'm always being pestered. Tom had also already bought the tickets without asking me, again assuming I would just follow him. I want to be in a relationship of equal partners, not just be what Tom wanted. I have been wondering if he would actually be better off with a girlfriend. Please excuse me, I want to change and then I'll join you while you finish the movie you are watching. He came back as Tony in jeans and a t-shirt and we snuggled up, but we just talked while the movie played. The following day I received a call from Tom. Hi, Ange, I hated it when he called me Ange. I have tickets for the football this Saturday, for me and you. Of course, I knew I was just a substitute for Tony. Isn't there someone else you would rather go with? No, only you, he replied. I had decided to say no, but then I thought I might be able to find more about what had happened. Okay, I would love to. After all, I was fond of Tom, and do I like crossdressers? Tony, that was Tom on the phone. He has asked me to go to the match with him. I didn't tell him what you told me. Oh, I am pleased, said Tony. If Tom does prefer to have a girlfriend, perhaps you will land your dream cross-dressing boyfriend. Tony and I were both spending an evening at home. I decided it was time to update him on my burgeoning relationship with Tom. Tony is too close to me to hide anything from him. Princess, I think you were right about Tom. We are now an item. If I hadn't known him before, I would not have suspected he was anything but straight. In fact, I wonder if was truly gay. I suspect it was the opportunity to go out dressed as a girl that was the reason he dated you. As for me, he is perfect. I have a boyfriend at long last who satisfies me but also enjoys cross-dressing, so I have a girlfriend too. But Princess, you are still my best friend and my best girlfriend. Tom is my lover. Tom and I had been together for a year when he proposed to me. I was in seventh heaven and quickly accepted. I rushed home to tell Tony. The planning was slow at first. I detected some hesitation from Tom and then it came out. He wanted to be a bride. If that is what he wanted, then that is what I wanted too. However, I wasn't sure how some of my friends and relatives would take to the groom in a wedding dress, so I suggested a simple ceremony with no guests. We decided that we would follow the tradition that neither of us should see our dresses before the ceremony. I was very curious about what to expect when I arrived at the wedding venue with Tony. Tony decided he didn't want to take anything away from Tom's special day and wore a suit instead of being my bridesmaid. I was a little disappointed that, as Tom was technically the groom, to discover that I had arrived first and was ushered in to wait for his arrival. It was supposed to be a simple ceremony, the two of us and our two witnesses, but there were many guests. A significant number were over-the-top cross-dressers, and the room was a riot of color and a sea of extravagant hats. I didn't know any of them, although I had seen many of them at the Frock and Heels. Then came the music, the wedding march, and Tom entered accompanied by 3 bridesmaids, clearly all cross-dressers. Tom was wearing an incredible creation of lace and net over layers of petticoats. And I was wearing a simple dress and coat in white and held a small bouquet. I had been trumped and was embarrassed, not the best way to start the rest of your life. Tom, I said. It's Marie-Louise, Ange, Tom interjected. Why are you wearing such an extravagant gown? We decided that we would wear simple dresses. I chose something that reflected my status. A dress like yours would not have done me justice. I would not be seen dead in anything plain or beneath me. This is my dream dress and it is for a special bride on her special day after all. The wedding shop is expecting this style to become very popular once the pictures of me wearing the dress hit social media. There was no answer. I thought it was my special day and I would naturally be the bride. We also agreed on no guests. Why did you have so many friends here? They are not my guests, they are my followers. I had to let them know about my day. It is natural that they would be present to see the bride in all her glory. It is a privilege I would not want to deny them. After the ceremony, Tom had arranged a stretched limousine, something else I didn't know about. I thought this was exciting. The chauffeur naturally treated Tom as his VIP passenger. I was offered the rear-facing seat opposite Tom's. Perhaps he thought I was Tom's bridesmaid. Mind you, his dress took up much of the space inside the roomy car, so we couldn't have sat together. A number of his guests fussed over him and helped with the dress. You can imagine my disappointment when we pulled up outside the Frock and Heels. The 3 bridesmaids were waiting. We entered the club in procession. Tom had taken my arm. We were ushered into a large function room full of people sitting at tables who stood and appalled as we entered. Tom made his way to the top table set on a dais under a banner reading "Congratulations Marie-Louise." Tom looked annoyed. The missing hyphen between Marie and Louise was very important to him. Tom sat at the head of the table and gestured to me to sit on his left. At least I was sitting at the top table even if on the wrong side. A rather distinguished man sat on his right. We were never introduced. I was pleased that Tony was invited to sit on my other side. Only Tom made a speech. He did refer to our marriage and to me as his wife. He then spent most of his time squeezing through the tables in his massive dress, greeting the guests table by table. He did not ask me to accompany him. In his absence, I turned to Tony and asked him, "Do you know what is going on? I wasn't expecting any of this. It is not what I wanted." "Me too, let me go and ask Madame Cece." "Madame Cece? She owns the club and says yes to both men and women," Tony grinned. He went across and spoke to an attractive statuesque middle-aged woman standing near the door. She was very good and her clothes were professional, like a businesswoman and not like the guests. After a while, Tony returned looking worried. Apparently everything has been organized by Tom alone. He has had no help, but he gives the opposite impression, and that it is all spontaneous, as everyone adores Marie-Louise. Madame Cece was very reluctant to hire out the function room to him, but in the end business was business, especially as Tom is funding a free bar. We were interrupted by Tom. "Ange, it is time for our first dance as a married couple." Tom extended his bejeweled hand towards me and led me to an area cleared for dancing. But as we started, he held me as if I was a man and expected me to lead. It wasn't long, as is the tradition, before other couples joined us. I appeared to be the only natural woman and I was dancing with the bride. "May I?" The man who was sitting on the other side of Tom interrupted us. Tom turned to him, threw his arms over his shoulders, they held each other tightly and danced off. I returned to Tony feeling deflated. It was the early hours of the morning when most people had drifted off, drunk due to the free bar. The hire of the limo did not extend to our trip home. That night my mood changed again. The sex was fantastic. Tom consummated our marriage with gusto. The following morning I went to what is now just Tony's home to collect my things and moved in with my new husband to start our married life together. "This is your room," said Tom, dressed as plain Tom with no trace of Marie-Louise. It was on the ground floor. "My room?" "Yes, originally it was the maid's room and is self-contained. It will suit you and you can come and go as you like. But I thought your old bedroom will become our bedroom." "Oh no, this is a better arrangement. With all my dresses there will be no room for your clothes. But rest assured, when I want sex or to sleep with you I'll come down to your room. And my door will always be open to you. I know you will want to be with me, but please knock first and await my call before entering. I know it will be difficult, but just be patient." Our marriage turned out not to be too bad despite the humiliating beginning. Most of the time it was Tom and I, but once or twice a month we went out as Marie-Louise and I. Our sex life was vanilla but very satisfying. It was about 6 months later and we were having breakfast. "Ange," he still called me Ange and I still hated it. "One of the girls is celebrating tonight, a sort of hen party, at the Frock and Heels, and has asked me to join her. You don't mind, do you?" I know she would really be grateful with the kudos I will bring. This was the first time one of us would be out socially without the other, but I really didn't like the place. "No, of course not. You go and enjoy yourself." Tom spent the rest of the day transforming into Marie-Louise. And the result was breathtaking but disturbing. She was not my Marie-Louise, but an exotic creature. She wore a sparkling low-cut sleeveless mini dress. Tom had created an amazing cleavage and was sporting breasts larger than usual. Her makeup was overdone, not like a drag queen, more like a prostitute, and she was wearing a blonde wig with long wavy locks. Too much jewelry. And silver platform shoes with what looked like 6-inch spikes. "Don't wait up for me," said Marie-Louise as she trotted out the door, not wearing anything overdressed despite the cold. I was glad I didn't wait up. It was in the quiet early hours of the morning when I heard a car pull up outside. It was some time before I heard the front door open. I didn't see Tom until lunchtime and nothing was said. I was disappointed and upset with him, but I don't think Tom realized it. He had a hangover. A week later, Tom transformed again into this new caricature of Marie-Louise, and without a word to me. And it was soon 2 or 3 times a week and had become routine. Tom's social life was now as Marie-Louise and without me. I wanted a husband who was a crossdresser, but now I was a crossdresser's widow. And then one night I heard voices, a mixture of husky and falsetto shrieks. I got up and took a peep. There were 3 of them, all dressed and made up like the regulars at the frock and heels, except the Marie-Louise was OTT in her appearance and behavior. She was the queen holding court in our living room. I went back to bed and cried. Marie-Louise regularly brought her friends home. Our home became a meeting place day and night. Tom dressed as Marie-Louise more or less full-time and was in her element as a hostess and the main attraction. Men also joined in. Of course they were all men, but these men were not crossdressers. It became clear that they were attracted to our place by the girls. I noticed that one man, rather handsome, was always with Marie-Louise. Although I was in the house, I was invisible. I kept to myself and stayed away from Marie-Louise's visitors. But one day I saw Marie-Louise take the handsome stranger by the hand and lead him into her bedroom. It was clear to me what was happening. I retreated to my room, laid down on the bed and cried. I heard Marie-Louise cry out with joy many times during the night, and finally I heard someone leave. It was almost daybreak. I could come and go without facing Marie-Louise and her new friends. My life was now just my work in a bed-sitting room existence. One day I was in my room and noticed that the place was quiet. I ventured out and found no one. Even the paraphernalia that had recently found its way into our house had disappeared. It looked like a normal home again, not a place for the frock and heels regulars to chill out. Then I heard someone coming down the stairs. It was Marie-Louise, but not as I know her. "Hello, Ange," said Marie-Louise, beaming. "What do you think of my new dress? It was designed especially for me." A special dress for a special lady, the designer promised and delivered. The dress looked stunning on Marie-Louise. It had clearly been cut to flatter her. It was elegant and classy in complete contrast to what she had been wearing. Her makeup was discreet and brought out the femininity in her. She looked beautiful and she knew it. Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Marie-Louise glided over to the door. In her tall spindly heels she could not move in any other way, opened it and threw her arms around a man in a dinner jacket standing there with a bunch of flowers. She gave him a kiss on the lips. It was the handsome man that she had betted. "Ah, are they for me? They are gorgeous." They were. She handed me the flowers. "Be a dear and put them in a vase, Ange." She then turned to the man, took him by the arm and led him into the house. "Ange is my housemate. She is such a dear." "Hello, Ange," he said with a pleasant smile. "Many other girls must be envious of you living here with Marie-Louise." He then smiled and gave Marie-Louise a long thin presentation box. She opened it and took out an exquisite diamond necklace. "This is a small token of my love for you and to mark our anniversary." He took it and fastened it around her neck. I wondered what he meant by anniversary. Marie-Louise turned to me. "Charles is hosting a dinner tonight in my honor. Isn't he wonderful? Everyone is dying to meet you, so we should get going," he said. "Nice meeting you, Ange." Marie-Louise took his arm and they left, but not like a trophy girlfriend, more as if it was his privilege she was joining him tonight. I had lost Tom and I didn't care. But I still had a best friend. "Hi, Tony," I knew he would recognize my voice. "Can I come and see you? It is personal, so I rather we just stayed in and talked." "Of course," he replied. I have been hearing rumors and I was expecting to hear from you sometime. That surprised me, and then I realized that I shouldn't be. I've also something to tell you. The space where I used to park my car was free. It did feel like I was coming home. Hello, Tony, we hugged each other. Is my old room still free? Tony grinned. Yes, Angela, but you might not need it. I will, since calling you I have decided to leave Tom and I have all my things in the car. Let me help you bring them in. But first, would you like some tea or shall I open a bottle of wine? Wine is what I need, but let's bring in my stuff first. I explained what had happened and that I wanted to go back to my old life. I'm not surprised. I had heard rumors that Marie-Louise had returned and become one of the regulars at the Frock and Heels and was becoming a nuisance. She had her group of admirers, who more or less put her on a pedestal. She took advantage and was behaving like a bitch to the other customers and the staff. The management then banned her and she must have moved her entourage to your place. I had heard a rumor that she had one particular admirer. He was gay, handsome, and was into crossdressers. He is also very rich and a high spender. I was told he is easily influenced and can become devoted and remain faithful to someone like Marie-Louise. They are a perfect match. And for Marie-Louise, she is in love with herself. It's all about being Marie-Louise, as it was all about being Tom with us too. As Tom, he saw himself as the perfect gay partner in my relationship with him, and with you the perfect straight husband. Now she is the perfect woman, a much-admired society girl and a desirable gay lover, even though she is self-deluded and is not really gay. Interesting, you've confirmed that my decision to leave Tom, or Marie-Louise as she is now, is the right one, not that I will ever go back. I'll be seeking a divorce. In the meantime, you are sure you're okay with me moving back in, at least until I've found somewhere else? More than you think. I have discovered why I have not been able to keep my boyfriends. Because I like to dress in women's clothes, I assumed I was gay, but I'm not really. And I do miss you. He then took my hand and led me to his bedroom. 6 months later we were married, this time with a conventional ceremony. I wore a bridal gown and Tony wore a suit. We did have a second, more private ceremony the following day, when Tony wore a matching gown. And in case you're wondering, Marie-Louise married her rich, devoted Charles and lived as the person of her dreams.